Hello, Bob Rietfeld here, preaching and teaching minister of the Spring Hill Christian Church of Rural Oak, Lockney, Georgia. And welcome to a new lesson series, which is a continuation of the Bible Survey lesson series. We just completed the New Testament Survey lesson series, and today we are going to start with this new lesson series being the Old Testament Survey. And so we're just going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start from the very first book of the Old Testament, Genesis, and go all the way to the end of the Old Testament in the book of Malachi. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, why is Genesis so important? And the reason is it gives information on one of life's questions, how things came into being. It's introduces all of the questions and problems that are dealt with in the rest of the Bible. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? All philosophical questions that humanity asks, and the answers are found in the very first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis. Genesis introduces the two main ideas of the Bible. One, it reveals God the Creator and the universe as His work. And number two, it introduces man and God's plan for man's redemption. Genesis, the Greek word equivalent meaning origin or beginning. Thus everything begins in Genesis. Time, space, universe, mankind, or humanity, sin, redemption, and so forth. Genesis and their creation accounts. In the Genesis story, there is one God, the Creator. He creates and presides over the universe with dignity and supreme power. He is interested in the welfare of His creatures, of His creation, and He enjoys the work of creation. God is the center and the axis of the universe. And for all things are shown in their relation to Him and their dependence upon Him. Everywhere there is order, plan, and purpose. His majesty is shown in His creation. Just the opposite is seen in heathen accounts of creation, which are chaos, conflict, hate, and so on. And those are prominent parts of their quote-unquote creation. What about the 7 days of Genesis creation account? Day in the Hebrew refers to any given period of time. 2 Peter 3:8, 1,000 years is a day. A day is 1,000 years with the Lord. The first 3 days' work done before the sun, moon, and the stars came, which determine our 24-hour days. These days produce light, heaven and earth, and dry land and vegetation. Or day is literal, 24 hours like now. God built in the time, geologists see in rocks, and so forth. And so those are the different theories about the days of creation. The author of Genesis is Moses. He wrote, as Luke wrote his gospel, as a historian, using written or oral traditions guided by the Spirit of God. The date of the writing is about 1400 BC, during the 40 years in the wilderness. And the key verse is in Genesis 1:11. The key word is beginning. The period covered is the beginning until the death of Joseph, approximately 1800 BC. Moses lived from 1530 to 1410 BC, 120 years, 40 in Egypt, 40 in Midian, and 40 in the wilderness. The purpose of the book of Genesis is an historical narrative. The key concept is creation. God made it. Sovereignty. God's in charge. Covenant. Agreement by which relationships occur. Some of the contents, the specific details of Genesis. We have the 7 days of creation. Number 1, light and darkness. 2, separated heavens and earth. 3, dry land and vegetation. 4, sun, moon, and stars. Day 5, sea and air creatures. 6, animals and man. And then 7, rest. We have some details of the ark and the flood. It took 120 years to build. Genesis chapter 6, verse 3. It was 3 stories high. There was 1 door, and it was approximately 450 feet by 75 feet by 45 feet wide. There were 7 pairs of clean animals, 1 pair of unclean animals. The fountains and the rain were for 40 days and nights. And then as we read in Genesis 7:16 that the Lord shut them in. The water on earth was for 150 days. We see in Genesis chapter 7 verse 24. They landed on Mount Ararat, as we see in Genesis chapter 8 verse 4. They were in the ark for a year, 17 days, and 5 months floating around. And then 7 months on the mountain. Abraham's family, Sarah, nephew Lot, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Esau, and Leah, and Bilhah, Zilpah, Rachel, Leah, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Bilhah, Rachel's maid, Dan, Naphtali, Zilpah, Leah's maid, Gad, and Asher, Leah again, Issachar, Zebulun, and finally Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin are all prominent figures in the book of Genesis. Adam's family was Cain, Abel, and Seth, and many other sons and daughters, as Genesis chapter 5 verse 4 says, that were not named or mentioned specifically in the book of Genesis. We see Noah's family, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and there were 5 major characters, 6 if you include Isaac, chapters 21 through 24, and there were lessons from each one. We read about Adam, chapters 1 through 6, responsible for our own decisions. Eve ate the fruit. Adam ate fruit. Abel gave a good sacrifice. Cain killed his brother Abel. We read about Noah in chapters 7 through 11. Takes God at his word. He built an ark. He gets the animals. He preaches for 120 years about the coming destruction of the world while he builds the ark. Built an altar after over Ham and father's nakedness, the Tower of Babel. They didn't obey, and the multiplication. We read about Abraham in chapters 12 through 24, the blessings of obedience, and it tells a story how he left his home, circumcision. He took the worst land with Lot and Lot's wife getting the better. Sacrifice of Isaac, and Sarah conceives. We read about Jacob in chapters 25 through 30. The finality of some decisions. Esau sold his birthright. Isaac blessed Jacob and not Esau. Laban gave Jacob speckled sheep. Shechem defiled Dinah. Judah with a prostitute. Rachel traded her husband. Joseph, we read about him in chapters 37 through 50. He refuses to sin, to have sex with Potiphar's wife, and refusing to lie. Talks about Dramus and the hate of his brothers. A woman by the name of Linda Thompson wrote an outline of Genesis in 1975. Kind of goes like this. It's a little bit humorous. It says, number 1, God bakes birthday cake. 2, candles on a cake. 3, candles blown out. 4, Cain eats Abel's cake. 5, cake gets moldy. 6, Noah's candles high and dry. 7, washing the dishes. And chapter 8, a new cake. You kind of look at it that way. A little bit humorous, kind of the outline. But I think I'll stick to the other outline that we talked about for the book of Genesis. So that's kind of just a brief overview of the book of Genesis, and I hope that this encourages you to investigate the book, to read it, to study it. There's a lot of stuff in that particular book. I would have to say that if I had to had to choose, I would say that Genesis is probably my favorite book, or the most important. They're all important, but the prominent book of the New Testament, or of the Old Testament. You need to read the book of Genesis. It answers a lot of the questions that you would have while reading the rest of the Old Testament. The same way that the Gospels are important, don't get me wrong, in the book of Acts, but I think as far as the epistles are concerned, Romans is probably a prominent book in the New Testament, because it kind of covers all of history from creation all the way to judgment in the chapters of Romans. I hope you've enjoyed this short, brief overview of the book of Genesis, and as much as I have enjoyed giving it to you, and I look forward to the weeks to come in presenting information about each of the books of the Old Testament. So I hope you have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week, and may God bless you.